Alright, so we're gonna try this out. I hope you can hear me. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I want to keep moving forward on this chassis here to get that painted. When we get the sun, that's what's going to happen next, because I want to drop that transmission and this engine into the chassis, and to do that I need to paint what I won't be able to reach after I do that. But first, we are getting a spigot installed on our house right here, hot and cold. I'm going to run lines through here. I've just thrown a tantrum about our lack of spigot and the fact I gotta use 14 feet of hose before I even get to my driveway. So that's happening next week. Part of that is got to allow access inside the house. The other thing is my children are starting to get rather rambunctious and going to drive their mom nuts. So I need to move the TR6 out. So that'll be part of the process today, so we can get the bikes down. Everything's kind of on top of each other. We really haven't had the TR6 on the channel yet, other than some archival photos. But we're gonna see the TR6 possibly fire up. If I get the battery charged. I've had it charged earlier this year, but I've moved it and it's been uncharged for a while. It's been sitting on a concrete floor. I don't know if batteries do get charged when they sit on a concrete floor, but there's an old wives' tale that they do. So we're gonna try to get that handled this week or this weekend. And with the weather, we're gonna try to get this painted and get that in and the transmission in. So stay tuned. So this TR6 looks like she wintered pretty well. Everybody doesn't know the story of the TR6. This is my dad's car. He passed away in 2008, and he owned this car since new. He bought it brand new in 1976, and him and my mom drove it to about 80, 81. It started developing an engine issue. They had 2 kids by then, or just about to have 2 kids. They would have 2 more, and it just wasn't something practical. So I got parked for 30 years, I want to say. And right before he passed away, he started working on it. He had us pull it out of storage for him, and he started working on the car in earnest. But then he got sick and he passed. It's pretty suddenly. And when he passed, I decided to start working on the car as probably something to help me grieve. And I had a blog. I've closed down the blog since then. I might open it back up as an archive. But I had a blog on it called the TR6project.com. And basically from 2009 to 2003, 2004, I blogged about this car. And it's been on the road for a few years. Now, I don't use as much as I want. Last year I didn't do too many trips on it. Year before I took it down to Idaho. Had a nice blast down there. She did great. It's like a big motorcycle though. Like really, other than little trips, I haven't taken the kids for much rides. And my wife doesn't like riding with it because I never ride with the top up. And I'd like to do more with it, but it's hard because it's like a motorcycle. You take it out in a big circle. But I got some neighbors who have them. So we take them out every once in a while and rally and you know, it's just nice to have the car back on the road. It's kind of a legacy to my dad. And yeah, that's right. I only work on cars that used to belong to my dad. I don't know why that started, but it just feels like something I need to do. When he passed away, he had 30-some cars. And I knew, and I sold most of them for my mom, cleaned up her property. And maybe that's the guilt that wears on me. But also, these are really interesting cars. This is a neat car to do. It wasn't overly difficult. You could basically do it by throwing your wallet as hard as you want, because basically any part you want for this car is available throughout the Roadster factory, Moss Motors, and a few other places. And there's a huge aftermarket for upgrades and everything else. Like, these have a huge market for them, so wasn't the most challenging thing to do. And this one, like, give me a break. This is an interesting car to do. Like, the guy had some good taste in cars. I told somebody the other day, like, you got your 69 Camaros and, you know, and even the Mopars from that area. This is a jazz. When you reach your car guy jazz era, you start looking at stuff like this. You know, like, your kink gets weird. And that's kind of where I am. My kink has gotten weird. I've done this. I want to be able to say I've done this. This is way more difficult in that, like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to find this molding here, the rubber for this. Who knows? That's going to be difficult to track down. But I certainly can't throw my wallet at it as hard as I can. Well, I could, but it'd be a $200,000 car if I had a restoration shop do it. $200,000-$300,000 car. And it's never going to be worth that much, so what's the point? But it gives me a chance to show my skills. So anyway, I got the jack underneath the TR6 here. I'm going to pull it away from the wall, and then I'm going to pull out the driveway. I'm going to see if I can fire it up. So I got the cars outside here. I'm cleaning up the garage. Kind of get ready to paint this thing. And I got Tier 6 moved out here. And people are walking by, people are walking their dogs. They're enjoying the first nice day in a while. And everybody keeps coming by and they look at the car, but they just can't keep their eyes off the transmission I got on left. It is the ghetto thing I'm doing here. And just, it's getting all the attention right now. So I think that's pretty funny. You know, you can do anything you want, but you put a transmission on an engine hoist in your front yard in a residential area, oh, watch out, Irene. You get the death stares. Anyway, here we're gonna fire up Thelma. Gotta move her in with the Tier 6 over here. Move Thelma in beside her. So if you're looking at there, there's the fuel injection I did on her. I'm just going to check the oil on her again. I just popped it up a bit. We'll see if she'll fire up. So I haven't done anything to Thelma since last time I had her on the video here. She's been sitting for about 3 weeks. So we're just gonna fire up and see if she goes. The social distancing mobile. Just listen to the fuel pump kicking in. Oh, there we go. Will she stay alive? There we go. She smartens right up. You think she's got a couple of exhaust leaks? Oh. She's not very girly like. Good girl. Okay, so we got the Thelma started. Now we're gonna try to start the TR6. How's my limp? I'm always sensitive on my lip. Got a full charge. Full charge. She was charged, I just wanted to confirm it. I started dicking around, checked the oil on her too, topped it up a little bit. You always gotta top these things up a little bit. Small British sports car. So I'm not gonna take it out to the burn today because there's still rocks on the road up here in Alberta. Then we go down to residential areas. See, the highway's starting to get better, but we'll do a fire up. I probably haven't fired up. She's got a manifold leak right about there. She whistles. It's annoying. So we'll give it a shot here. I'm talking to you, George. Hit my head on the way in. I never drive this car with the top on. There's no point. I figure we got two types of days in Alberta. We have TR6 with the top down days, and we have no TR6 days. So then we drive around top down days. But it's there in case I need it. I have a hard top. It's hanging in my roof. I got to paint it at the same time. I have to finish it out vinyl wise, but I haven't got around to doing that. No power anywhere. Oh, I didn't hook the cables back up. That's important. Let's do that. I bet you all caught that. Y'all, my Rutledge wood impression, y'all caught that, didn't you? It's like a bushing broken half down here. We'll look into that eventually. There you go. I'll give her a start. Perfect. All right. Jesus. All right. So what I want to do when I start these, I want to pull the choke all the way out. No foot on the gas. Don't give it any gas. That exhaust leak over here of the manifold. Isn't that enough to piss you off? So I gotta deal with that this year. Good oil pressure. Started. She's got an exhaust leak right there. Just a little bit blown by the gasket. Enough to drive you wild. Right in there. I've felt it before too, so I'll deal with that this year. But other than that, she's doing really good. Other than that. So, if you asked me a week ago, I'd say for replacing these leaf springs. But I researched it, both getting rebuilt locally and ordering same pair, and either way it's going to be $800 to about $1,100 Canadian to get any of that done. I'm not entirely sure these leaf springs are done. I don't like whatever's been done here by somebody for the back end. Maybe they were trying to pull something, like a big trailer. But these cars didn't sit very high to begin with. They counted on, because they're only 14-inch wheels, they counted on a tall tire. So when you had a 14-inch wheel and you put a smaller tire, when they stopped building, like when they started going to radials and they were a little more round, these cars started looking goofy because, you know, they looked a lot lower. Somebody has cranked the front end way down on this thing, and the way you do that is just turn down these torsion bars. So I've been looking at pictures of the California car when we drove it home, because that's suspension from the California car, and I'm not convinced that those springs are done. Now, I did this on the TR6. When I did the TR6 project, I didn't replace the front springs, and it was sitting way low in the front, so I ended up replacing them eventually. And that's what's going to happen here. Like, I'm going to go to the right size tire. Like, we're going to put a, it wasn't until I started watching one of my favorite YouTube shows, I won't name names because I don't want to implicate them with me, but this is not going to have radial tires on it. It's going to have bias plies on it, and bias plies are taller, and bias plies on a 14-inch rim with the front end and that suspension. I think this thing's going to be sitting close to correct. I'm hoping, but I'm just not going to do $800 to $1,100 in spec. COVID has kind of put that off the table right now. And if I gotta wait on springs, we're not putting the axle anywhere. So these springs are not gonna murder us, and if we start looking like we have a squat in the back end, we'll do something about it. But for now, what's gonna happen in the short term is I'm gonna paint these springs. I'm gonna paint them. Well, I see how they come apart, I don't know. But we're gonna throw them in the car, replace all the rubber on them, and see how it goes. And if the thing squats, we'll deal with it. But I want, as Bob Seger said, I want this thing sit up way up firm and high. So we want to do it right. I'm not, you know, I don't believe in Aaron Kaufman. The lower it goes, the price goes up. I want this car to look like, I'm more like Jay Leno in that Tornado he did, where engineers designed this car. They engineered it for a bias ply tires, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put bias ply tire pliers. I've got a couple sets of rims, so I might buy a set of tires, like radials like we have in Thelma. I like these radials. I had a guy in Red Deer track me down these, Lee in Red Deer. Thank you, Lee. I've loved these radials. The only problem is the white wall on them is what is hard to keep clean. These didn't, and this is probably a little thicker white wall than, well, might be about the same, but won't be much different than that. These cars never did have big, wide white walls. It was more like this. So if you see guys put big, fat white walls on them, they're a little out of touch, because those kind of went out of style in 61, 62. So from the factory, they would have had like a 1 inch to 1.25 inch white wall on them. And that's what we're gonna go back to. But got no money for tires, got no money for leaf springs, so we're going with what we have. We got new shocks in the back. Back when I had money, I bought these shocks, but now that we're into COVID, we're doing the best of what we have available, and what we have available are these guys, and we're gonna see how well they work out. I'm not totally convinced they're completely screwed, but let them prove me otherwise. And it's not the end of the world if I have to pull them out. Like, we want to get parts in this car. We want to have it rolling around. It's a lot easier to work with. And if it comes down to the fact that this thing's got some squat on it, then we can look at replacing the leaf springs. And even if the car's rolling around, we can do it from then. And it doesn't cost me much money to just splash these things with some paint, so they don't look like a dog's breakfast, and put new rubber in them, and the rubber will carry over anyway. So that's the thought there. The garage is all cleaned up today. That was the big project today, is get the garage to a level that I can work with it. The transmission's coming off of here because I got to clean up the other side. I've done this side enough, but I got to clean up the other side of this transmission, and I'm not moving this thing again on my own. So I got the lift here. I'm gonna move it down onto this cardboard and clean up the other side. We're gonna marry it back to the engine. We're gonna paint the frame, and we're gonna put everything back together again. So that's kind of what the next goals here are. The transmission behind the 361, sitting over here quietly. We might need this bushing, so that cross section is there. See, somebody told me they might have painted this engine. So this must have been the manifold 361, but it looks like it was red to begin with, if you ask me. Anyway, bring it up to speed. Hey, how's it going? It's Sunday. Big doings in the yoga studio here. Got it all cleaned up so we can walk around in here and not fall on my face, and my wife not screaming at the kids not to go in here because of the dirty floors and spilled fluid and everything else. I had high intentions today of getting a subframe, big intentions getting a subframe pressure washed, but by the time I went for a bike ride this morning, 45 kilometers, so I feel, first one of the year, so I feel it's just like death right now. It's 3 in the afternoon, almost 4. And I just can't do it anymore. I gotta go in for cocktail hour. This is enough's enough. But the plan is tomorrow is to take the pressure washer I borrowed from my brother and finish cleaning that up. Clean up the transmission with the pressure washer today. So it's looking a lot better than it has in a while. Like, I don't know how far you gotta get these things. Like when we're at Pebble Beach, the guy sticks his head up there. We're not going to Pebble Beach, but just wanted to show you that. Like it's Sunday. It's a Pleasant Valley Sunday in Cowtown, and yeah, I'm just out of energy today. So tomorrow we'll crack back at her, but today we've gone as far as one man can do it, and I didn't have to lift the transmission this time, so that makes me super happy. Anyway. So I made short work of this. Bored my brother's pressure washer. Boy, you got it in everywhere here. We're just getting ready for this thing to paint. I'm gonna pour 15 in. I know pour 15 is controversial, but this won't see a lot of light. What I need is the metal prep though, and I'm waiting for that to show up at the store so I can go pick it up. So that's the next step: metal prep and then paint. So I'm not sure you're gonna be able to see it. It's kind of dark out. Lost the sun today, but we're as far as we're gonna be able to go on the frame. I was hoping to paint it. Yeah, you can't see much there. I was hoping to paint it this before this video, but that's not gonna happen. I got everything off of it. I've taken it to a level that I wasn't planning to take it to. Like everything is off the frame. Their power steering pump, or sorry, unit and everything's off there. The steering linkages and all the brake. So I've cleaned it right down to basically just left on just the absolute suspension parts. I don't want to pull any of this apart because I don't have the rubber to fix it yet. And I know if I do, I can't put it back together until I do. So we're gonna take that frame a little farther than I originally planned on. So the idea of the frame is that I wasn't going to paint it, and I cleaned it up, and now I'm painting it, and I'm not just going to spray paint it. No, I'm not going to spray paint. I'm going to use what I got leftover pour 15 from doing the floor underneath the car. But to do that, because there's not a ton of rust in that frame, I got to use the metal prep, pour 15 metal prep first. And I ordered it. So with this COVID thing, I ordered it from Canadian Tire, our local store here. And I ordered it Sunday night, and it's now Tuesday night. And they haven't called me to come pick it up yet. So I'm kind of stuck on that one. So now that I've decided to take it this level, I need to wait for the prep, do the prep, and then paint. So hopefully in the next episode, we'll have at least the frame painted and all the parts I've taken off painted and put back on there. I've bagged and tagged everything. It's ready to go back on. That's why I have that little pile there, just so I know everything that's just related to that stud frame. And not where I wanted to get to this week. Obviously, I want to get this engine's ready to go in. The transmission's ready to go in. It's just, we want to take that frame to that level. And like I said, I'm not going to pull the A-arms off of there, because then I get to the point where I know the rubber in there is going to start falling apart if I start doing that. And I want to wait till I have all those parts on hand before I do it. And that's something we can get or do after the frames on the car and the engine and transmission are in. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, thanks for watching this week. I know it's a lot of to do, a lot of prep stuff. Obviously more prep stuff than I was thinking of doing, but the pressure washer made a little short work of things. Thanks, Brother Lachlan. And hopefully you enjoy the episode. And if you did, please like and subscribe, or subscribe and like, and hit the bell and tell your friends. And we'll go from there. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Stumpy loves you.